BTG, we saw that they went in with a game plan, but it was easily kind of punished.
Yeah, and CE played a very clean game, and also they immediately pulled the trigger when they realized, hey, we have a potential win here. They got 3 nukes in total, ETC moved in, dropped the first one, and since everyone on the side of BTG reacted very slowly, they were busy pushing the top lane, they realized, guys, we don't even have to commit the nukes to the keep. We're gonna get that anyways, we can actually make the play for the core. And then even misusing Void, delaying that a little bit more, but it was far from mattering at all. So fantastic play by CE, very clean. They have the 2-0 lead now, and our potentially last map is going to be Infernal Shrines, the map choice on the side of BTG. Let's see if they have a strategy that can take a map of CE here.
You know, with some of the feedback or criticism that we were giving towards the map selection out of BTG into a map like Sky, I appreciate the Infernal Shrines pick from them for the exact same reasons, but it's more so because it works better for them. It's a map that generally, other than KSV Black, when you see the Punisher giving up, you aren't losing that much. There are tons of different ways to be able to respond onto the map and make the plays. So I feel like, and it's one you can typically rely on the late game because of that. So I feel like they get the most amount of opportunities to be able to turn a game around here. So I like that this is where we're going for, again, what could be the last game Beyond the Game has here at the Gold Club World Championship. And I cannot tell you how bad I want them to be able to walk away with at least one win.
Yeah, so in case that you're just tuning in now for the playoff phase, BTG has shown some growth during the matches that were played in the group stage, but they failed to win a single map yet. They came close a few times, especially when faced off against other Chinese teams, but they were every single time defeated with a 2-0, and if they don't take Infernal Shrines, that would mean that throughout their entire run in this tournament, they didn't take one. So there's a lot of people that actually cheer for BTG to bring the fight to CE on Infernal Shrines. Draft starts off with Greymane banned out and also Tassadar, so 2 heroes. First of all, double support compositions, a little bit tougher to run. Tassadar adds a lot with the wave clear on the shrine as well, and Greymane has been not only the most picked hero in this tournament, but also at the same time a hero that on Infernal Shrines has always excelled, thanks to the ability to steal minions with the cocktail, even if you don't hold the position on the shrine itself.
Yeah, where, yesterday Greymane was kind of able to overcome the highest pick rate of Rhaegar. This was one of the few maps where he was still willing to be that first pick scenario, even when Rhaegar was kind of in the meta. So it's not surprising to see that banned out. I did wonder if that would lead to an immediate response into something like that, Vala. Even though that has died out in this tournament, it's just the Greymane ban is a little bit interesting. But Beyond the Game, they're going to commit themselves to a Lucio and then a Sonya, which immediately CE's got to look at this and go, where is Arthas going to be? Is this going to be picked up by us, or is it going to be banned? Because that synergizes so well, not only with the map, but with those 2 picks that Beyond the Game has. Lucio, Sonya, Arthas. I mean, you just cannot escape the pain train with those 3 together.
And it also simply says right from the get-go that BTG wants to team fight on the Shrines.
Yes.
Immediately.
It doesn't mean they have to all in, though. There's still enough room in the draft to where they can flex it in case things, kind of go south here with the picks on CE's part.
CE replies with ETC and Dehaka, so no Arthas for now. We have them, first of all, with the threat of Mosh Pit. There are interrupts available already. But ETC is also can be fantastic just with zone control on the shrine itself, and that would help. Also peels for the backline. Dehaka, on the other hand, is the one that will try and get the experience lead for the team to side soaking until his time has come to burrow in. Would still expect Arthas to be banned out here.
I still would like to see it, honestly.
Maybe.
I feel like it provides a little bit too much on the map in particular, and the synergy's too high.
The one thing that they banned out when they faced in situations like this is CE started to target Uther as a ban. Now, Uther would actually synergize really well with their own composition too. You can give the Divine Shield over, and there it is. Banned out right away.
Here it is. Do they let it go through? I don't feel like there's a single world. I don't know. I guess the fact that CE isn't even snap banning the Arthas means that they are not that interested in it whatsoever.
I'm actually a little bit surprised that BTG is banning out Uther. I could have seen them pick it up.
They were going to ban the Tyrael. I was going to say, if you ban out the Arthas, you immediately respond with the Tyrael, but I didn't think Tyrael would be higher of value in this situation on the side of CE than that of the Arthas. Interesting. We'll see where we commit. Again, I assume that this has got to be the Arthas, but what else behind that for Beyond the Game?
I would still expect a double support for them, and with the ban on Uther, just screams that you either go for Karazim again to be aggressive, or you drop Rhaegar. He doesn't have Lightning Bond any longer. But if you run a Sonya and also an Arthas, then first of all, having the Ancestral would be great for them. And also, the Lightning Shield itself is still pretty solid, especially for Infernal Shrines.
Yeah, as long as you have somebody to, you know, make sure is a catalyst for that. And Sonya and Arthas are some of the best in Heroes of the Storm. Beyond the Game is taken a while, though, when it comes to these picks, for how I feel like maybe predictable that was. And also, I didn't even think about this. We're talking about when you were talking about the Uther and how appealing that could be for Beyond the Game. I feel like that could be part of the reason we see the Tyrael over the Arthas is because the synergy of having that. But Beyond the Game, they're breaking out the old Alexstrasza. Second time we've seen that from them here on this map.
They really like that on Infernal Shrines, it seems. Like, they didn't have the success with her yet, but they are one of the few teams that actually use Alexstrasza. I'm curious to see if that's... I didn't really expect them to go for her, but I'm curious to see if that's going to be enough for them. I mean, she really shines here. It's not like it's her best map.
Did you just say she really shrines here?
No, but no, I wish I did.
That was pretty good. So even though Alex did see a few changes, debatably, you know, kind of a buff, a lot of the same, you know, qualms, weaknesses with her are going to exist in this situation. And I feel like CE, not only because of maybe the skill disparity, but their composition also is going to work pretty well. The Gul'dan is going to not necessarily be able to punish as well. Well, actually, it will even more so, assuming that Alexstrasza is going to enforce the clumping. Karazim there for the more offense. So CE, they've drafted well to be able to adapt with this situation on top.
Yeah, but I don't hate what BTG has. It's actually not really all that bad. You don't... Here's the thing. With Alexstrasza, of course, you are always in a situation where you're a little bit baited to clump, and if you do that, then Gul'dan is going to punish you. But then again, you also have Lucio a little bit farther in the back. So I feel it's going to really help the two frontliners, Sonya plus X, with her heals. But for example, Vala doesn't really have any incentive to move into that. She's still getting heals on the side of Lucio. She should be in a great position because the zoning from Sonya and Arthas is going to be very good for her. So I don't really feel they are going to fall for that problem or that bait that they all just like huddle in one spot and allow heroes like ETC with the power slide and Gul'dan to capitalize on it.
I think beyond that, my concern is not so much the clumping, because I agree, right? Like that is the first thing you think of. You see the Gul'dan, you see the Alexstrasza, you go, yeah, we can't do this, boys. Like we can't look for that focus and that clumping. But it's more when she gets to choose to get the heal onto the target in particular, and how vulnerable that can be to not only timing, but then territorially. You want to choose your fights. And Infernal Shrines argues you get to choose them pretty well because you can hang around the shrine for long periods of time. But Genji doesn't. He is going to go in. He is going to be the one trying to initiate before they feel like they can prep properly.
But that's also the point. I feel like the rotations of BTG need to be really good with this. If they establish a position on the shrine first, they have the potential to really start racing those skulls. And once they do, Alexstrasza can commit to her trade, go into dragon form, and just simply secure the objective for them. And if that's the thought process, that you just have very quick rotations towards the objective, you establish a position with Sonya, Arthas, Vala just shoots away from the back, they can race these pretty quickly, and then you can securely take them with the dragon form. So if they trade evenly in experience before this, let's say, the third objective, I can see that become a very annoying position to be aggressive into, because, as you said, that's what CS has to do. They need to go into that.
Yeah, and you never. It's one of those, like, anytime we see massive, you know, kind of territorial and getting to choose your fight heroes, they thrive on a map like this when they get to that breaking point. I think of Diablo as another one that kind of comes to light. Even though he wasn't originally picked for the post-10 problems, it was more the kill potential onto Sonya way back. But it's still later, everybody's kind of like, you know, it turns out post-10, it's hard to touch a shrine whenever you've got Lightning Breath or APOC. Doesn't matter. Both of them are very difficult, and it's kind of the same problem. But I expect CE, because you talked about it, you're looking at third shrine phase here, which means we have two that CE is likely, just using history here, is going to get an experience advantage over. And then it's are we on the same talent tier? Tougher questions come to mind here for Beyond the Game.
Yeah, and that's really what that comes down to. Third shrine phase, I expect them to have that early position, but what does CE do in the early game? Are they going to be able to pick up these kills again? And also, after level 10, they still have with Horrify a huge game changer here. It depends also a bit on what Wind is going to choose, but I would expect the threat of the Mosh Pit still, with Paradise already going to be on Dehaka, the one that side soaks. KTY is going to be the one on Gul'dan. We have Shuyu on Genji this time.
And for Beyond the Game, again, looking for that win. Alex Straza played by AST on Vala, MJ on Lucio, ZJZ is going to be playing that Sonya, and 619 on the Arthas.
BTG versus CE, potentially the last game of the series here. Let's find out if BTG can take a map in the tournament or if they will be eliminated by CE without taking even one. Infernal Shrines, map number 3 between the two teams here. And especially the early game is something that we are looking towards already. Talents chosen, Vala committing to Q build over multi-shot, and we have ETC with Prog Rock.
I'm just saying, I would never have known that those existed on this map if it were not for this observer. Shout out to the Chinese observer. Some of the things I appreciate about this game, I never would have if it were not for the observer. So thank you very much for that. That was beautiful up there.
We talked yesterday about that too, Gravi and me, when we commentated the Fnatic series. He always finds a few things that I have never seen, and I'm looking at it and I was like, where has that been all that time? Was that new?
Holy Leap, Batman? That's a Shot of Fury at level 1. It doesn't have to be a leap, but generally speaking, Shot of Fury does indicate leap. For anyone at home wondering why, that's because when you leap into a team fight, if you didn't have enough Fury prepped up, you're straight up just one dead, useless Sonya in the middle of your opponent's team. You did not get with the one shot onto the leap. Shot of Fury makes it to where if the leap opportunity exists, you always have that chance to kind of get the Fury up and then make sure you can spin the win your way out.
My first reaction to that is, that's horrible. I don't really think that you are going to get value out of Leap here at all. Normally with Leap you want to be the initiator, and I mean in theory you can argue, okay, it gives Arthas a chance to walk up and drop a Howling Blast. But if anyone just turns on Sonya, who's going to save her?
I mean, it doesn't mean that they have to go Leap. I'm just saying that this is one of the few times you see Shot of Fury, and generally speaking, that is one of the only arguments in later talents that you can expect out of it here. So we'll see if they end up going for it. I do agree with you. There's a lot of tools that CE has that even if you do go for the leap, it might be difficult for them to kind of... the one-shot capability doesn't seem that.
In this case, if I'm Karazim, I would just hold back my 10, wait for Sonya to commit to hers, and if she goes into leap, I take 7 side. No, I would actually take 7 side.
Just to dodge it and get the kill?
I would just blow her up.
I think that when the team fight out of the way, just make sure you stop the one-shot. That's the only way you lose.
But the thing is, like, do you really think that she alone has the one-shot potential with an ETC being around for a quick face mode?
I mean, obviously, you wouldn't be totally leaping in by yourself. By no means is it the one, it's the Super Sonya story.
Because I actually thought at the start, when I thought of Karazim, it was just like, yeah, you take Palm, you prevent the one-shot, and then you're fine. But I just don't see that one-shot potential in that setup that they really get that kill. But I mean, time will tell. We're going to find out eventually. For now, we're more worried a bit about the early game here.
Yeah, even nice use there of the heal coming out from Alex Straza laying it down. But you saw also a bit of the kind of maybe concerns with it as well, where the positioning of Vala, not wanting to run away from the heal because she may end up not getting enough to survive, but also staying in that position may be the thing that costs you your life. It's all about timing. And it's a lot of pressure on Alex's shoulders here. But as the first shrine phase happens, BTG got 12 skeleton defenders for themselves. But as the collapse from CE is here, looks like ZJZ. Oh, nice poison or ancient spear. The collapse.
Oh, nice. Well
the
done here. They
did it.
Saved Sonya. That was impressive.
I didn't think they would get there in time, but they get the kite out just because of that use onto the minion. Drag lands onto 619, but it's not enough damage. Power slide goes through. A commits to the dragon form.
Early on already, but if they can kill Wind, and they do, that would be a fantastic start for them. So they have a shrine open to them, they take the position, and in the meantime, CE has started to rotate out onto the lanes with Dehaka in the middle, and Genji making his way over now as well. BTG is going to take the first Punisher here, and at this point, MJ actually playing it fairly safe as well, making sure that he doesn't get taken out here, takes some damage, but survives.
This is going to be curious how this unfolds here, as the early game going in the favor of BTG with this composition was maybe not what we expected. We'll see how much they can get with the Punisher. Dehaka's going for the side soak here for CE, as they've done their due diligence on the other parts of the map to make BTG have to respond. Genji makes his way up, but I don't think CE is going to move past this Punisher and force anytime soon, especially with 619 anchoring as he was.
Yeah, they're not going to get too much out of this BTG, that is, but they will get a little bit of experience lead, and they also make sure that they are translating pretty nicely into the later stage of the game. So at this point, this is a pretty big win for them, considering the early game, the early game pitfalls that we've been talking about, and how CE usually tries to exploit them. So for BTG, this is a pretty solid position. And they are currently doing well with their rotations. They haven't really lost out on too much lane experience. We still see up at the top lane Alexstrasza right now going up against Genji. And the camps also committed to by BTG, taking as many of the Impaler camps as they can on the map.
The thing here for BTG is it feels like just with every game that they play, like the breaking point of when it kind of gets out of control seems, you know, extended a little bit longer. Not so much on the Warhead game, but at least on Sky Temple, and it seems like that's the case here as well. I don't count the Warhead one just because Warhead's such a unique map and has such a unique meta, if you will. So I feel like that one has to be played a little bit different, but in the more standard and traditional maps like we see being played, I feel like they're doing a great job.
Yeah, Alexstrasza now, Life Blossom on level 7. And so you get a little bit more healing power out of her. And, I mean, just overall, I really like what they're doing here. The one question that I really have is how much are you going to get out of Vala's build here? This is the one map where we've seen the build, especially in Europe. I mean, Chris is one of the best examples of a player that commits to the Q build wherever he plays it, and we've seen that picked up by more than only one team. But this is still a map where you can make big arguments for going into multi-shot build instead. But I love that with them committing to the Q build, they have been heavily rotating on camps and trying to make sure that they get every single one of them. So they really get value out of Monster Hunter in particular.
Both teams timing their Shaman camp up towards that top lane, but it should give an advantage over to the CE just purely based on the global Dahaka factor. If one team can get a free clear over the Shaman, obviously, they'll find themselves eking ahead here. Sonya also in prime position to be able to start out the Shrine as soon as possible, and beyond the game, still with that minor, experience advantage is not enough to write home about, but it is enough to be able to, further this advantage a little bit more. I'm really excited to see what happens after the Shrine phase. I assume that they might be able to set themselves ahead. But without that collapse, actually, I feel like now they found a moment where maybe a lapse in judgment. If they were going to make this transition down, I can't help but feel like it should have been a few seconds earlier. They seem to agree as now they make the transition up. They find Wind.
And they buy time for Sonya in the meantime, who has now to deal with the Haka. Wind, on the other hand, has a huge problem at his hands, and he's actually going to fall. Wind goes down, second kill for BTG, and they will get the early level 10 here. BTG is looking better in this game than they ever have in this entire tournament.
And we still see it's going to be Wrath of the Berserker, so not committing to that leap, but will have the opportunity to just always be effective. I mean, that is the other advantage of taking Shot of Fury there at 1.
Yeah, I love that they went into Wrath here, especially how this game is going.
Yeah.
Now, let's see if they can... This is going to be another Punisher for them. The big question is really going to be, for me personally, how exactly is this going to work out now that they have level 10 abilities against them? Because that was usually the time when CE was just like breaking their back.
Okay, so Punisher number 2 here. Sidewall is going to be a very easy clear for ST. How much can BTG get done with it? Because they got to open up this map.
Great sidestep by ST, by the way, to the corruption that we saw coming out of KDY's cooldown.
See them moving up. 619 hits a 2-man Howling Blast. Dragon Form's going to be committed to. KTY trying to kite and cycle back. No Horrify yet.
Oh.
So much damage.
Here comes the Sound Barrier immediately. The Horrify is in as well. ETC stage dives. The Isolation has already hit and has his heart, but Arthurs is on his way out, and right now BTG is still looking strong. Sonya doing all of this is at the top, by the way. Genji is down. Alexstrasza goes in. So much trouble here for CE as they have Kerosene fall as well. This was a 5 versus 4 the entire time as Sonya has gotten value at the top lane. BTG looks like a completely different team all of a sudden.
They're just turning it up here. I don't have words. I did not think with how that fight started and forcing that 4 versus 5 that there was any world that they pulled ahead. I was just like, okay, I'm immediately extremely concerned, and they flat out make me eat my words or my thoughts, if you will. But they got to keep it up, right? This is just 1-4 onto the map. This is an experience advantage for them in a situation where we have never really seen it before. They are pulling ahead, but they cannot let off the gas is what I'm trying to say.
But their comp scaled so well into the late game. Lucio 16, Sonya just getting more and more tanky throughout the entire time. I mean, at this point, this is actually looking fantastic for them. If they just keep it up, they don't have to be as aggressive as they've been so far, but if they can just simply make sure that they are not opening up too many opportunities. Just don't int on the map alone, for example. Play safe when you don't have
Horrify.
vision. That's all that they need here. But here comes that kill. And that was exceptionally well executed by C.
Yeah, that was so fast to be able to get that lockdown in the split, and not enough healing quite there for A in that fight, in that situation.
You can't blame him for that.
No.
That was well done.
No, I'm merely, when I say that, I'm trying to highlight some of the trade-offs of Alexstrasza in that situation versus rather than a misplay, because it isn't. He's just giving everything he can in that circumstance to keep them alive. It's just those are the qualms, and maybe for anybody who's going like, Alex is my new favorite support that's been released. Why isn't she so meta? You found the answer in situations like that.
Yeah, I mean, this, not saying that you did. This is just something where you have to give it to C. That was perfectly executed because, as I mentioned, BTG having to respect vision, they did more or less, but that was just a perfect Horrify and the perfect result after that. So well done by CE trying to make their way back into this, and they're actually getting the experience. But we have again Sonya up at the shrine, so CE is trying to find experience at the bot lane. They have a 5-man push going. We have 4 heroes against them trying to defend here. The fort still falls. But stage dive. They really want to commit. Howling Blast is in. Can they get the hills? And yes, they can. Alexstrasza is down once again, and she might not be the only one. The drag connects on Lucio, and we have Corruption coming into play as Arthur is in trouble. Nice kill by Genji. Shuyu, you monster, goes in, takes him down, and escapes.
It just feels like CE for a second there after that last team fight and losing it there on bottom in the 4 vs 5 that we were complimenting for Beyond the Game. They were like, okay, so how do we change this game around? And immediately trying to capitalize on that time sensitivity within the support. In both cases, when we see the heal being dropped, they're like, okay, force the fight all in, commit to this, push them away from it. And there wasn't enough to make happen there. So they do have still the Sonya up on top to get themselves a 39 skeleton defenders, but it seems like CE has indicated on what they need to do to now make this a very difficult game for Beyond the Game.
Yeah, I still like that BTG didn't panic and grab the Punisher, that they bide their time. But the problem is that once again we have the situation, the Horrify kicks in, but they might actually survive. No way! Are they actually going to survive here? No, Vala is down, and KTY survives as Vala was on the run the entire time. Arthur's alone. Is he going to be enough to confirm the kill? Sonya goes in, and the spear connects.
Now Shuyu might be in a bad spot. No Ancient Spear. Good boot from Wind will buy time. A is going to go ahead and, you know, leave the world for a bit, throw down some of that damage and heals, as he will be back to join in. But when he does so, is it going to lead to anything here?
Yeah, well, they still have a potential kill with Sonya starting to move in. And let's not forget about Lucio.
Shuyu.
But Shuyu is going deep for this one. Hits the deflect, but the spear connects.
That boop.
And the boop keeps him alive. Without the wind zoning for him, he's dead.
Yeah.
The spear connects, the damage is in one smash, and you're done.
Yeah, it would have just been the one shot. That was such a clutch W there from Wind on that ETC to get the knockback. And to be honest, I'm surprised CE was even willing to risk anything. Once Alexstrasza threw down some of those heals and damage and came back, that Shuyu was willing to risk that positioning into an Ancient Spear Sonya. They got aggressive, but always trusting in the team there with Wind to be able to buy the peel.
I was even surprised that we saw Sonya committing to the fight. At that point, Vala is already down. You have Arthur dying right in front of you. And Sonya just didn't care. It was just like, I still got this, boys. We have a few supports in here. We can turn this around. Goes in and actually gets the kills. But CE has the earlier level 16. Now, they lost a lot of structures here on the other hand. And once that BTG has the 16, their survivability still spikes. And it also is going to give Vala a bit more damage output and potentially control, depending on what choice we have for her.
The biggest downside for CE in this game, now that they, again, oh, that Rain of Vengeance, one more auto. Oh my, I am surprised that SC was not able to get that off there. So close and so much damage, even surprising myself along with Shuyu, it feels, is the biggest problem for CE is the fact that they have only gotten themselves one fort onto the map, which their team fight is now only stronger in that lane in particular, getting that chase and track down. Chasing and tracking down right now is beyond the game. Stage dive is an answer here to try and save Paradise. They get the drag on Alexstrasza, forces the sound barrier, or excuse me, not Alex, but in fact ST there onto, I believe it was...
The palm and the heal has to even commit to the Horrify here. And they're trying to go for it, but oh my god, Sage is just completely destroying them on Sonya here. And they're actually winning that fight, especially Gul'dan was under so much pressure. He survives, but just barely, and he had to drop everything.
I have no idea how they won that at all. Once the isolation went down, I called it a game right there in that fight. I thought he was going to be able to pull ahead.
I mean, Alexstrasza here definitely with a tough love as well, granting the armor, keeping everyone alive. The sound barrier popped up the perfect moment in time. And I really feel a huge problem for CE was that Gul'dan was zoned out completely. CJZ did such an amazing job just pushing in completely out of the team fight and saying, if you want to participate here, you are going to die. And at that point, KTY even had to commit to the Horrify just to stay alive. So I feel the lack of damage that we had because of it was a big reason why BTG came out ahead in the battle.
So this is really what we felt early on, that the composition for Beyond the Game was built. Even Talontier, late game, Infernal, like on the Shrine itself, team fight, starting at near even footing for both teams. I feel like I'm ready to see, you know, come to life and be able to threaten that over CE. They have to avoid that Horrify. Good flank from Shuyu and Alufo to apply pressure to get a stage dive, but it's a bit more of a whiff there. Sound barrier is forced.
And immediately the Howling Blast on the stage dive gets that in. Shuyu is low. Is he still going to go in for this? We have MJ also in a bit of trouble, but Lucio is moving out of this one. Alufo is in trouble. Another connect, and he would die. The palm not propped at all. And that's the kill. Gul'dan is down, and so is Karasim. Sonya is playing this so well. It's insane how much value CJZ is getting here.
They get 3 kills now after that track down, and they don't even take time to worry about the Shrine. They're going to send Sonya to pick those up, and now the siege towards bottom. This is, I mean, got to be at least a keep.
What happened to BTG?
To be honest, Genji didn't have a very proper trade opening up the fight, and then a minute that we saw the split onto the track there onto Karazim.
But that's a different team.
Yeah.
I mean, these guys are absolutely killing it here. The coordination of skills and abilities is insane. And Sonya is having such an impact. The best moment, definitely how they waited out that palm. I saw that thing proc like 3 times and I was just like, okay, it's procking. It's still not procking. Now it's procking. And then she waits it out perfectly. And that spear doesn't even connect half a second before it's over. And I mean, that was beautiful.
It was, but I can't help but feel like it. You know, it feels too good to be true. I'll be honest.
Yeah,
in my brain right now, I'm just going like, so when's it stop?
Where do they screw up?
Yeah, and that's what I feel like. I'm waiting to see CE get a punishment here. They're going to be able to bait it towards the middle keep, which is allowing BTG to pretty much get that keep on the bottom. But that's what we expected. Can they look for game?
They want to. Yes, they want to. They wait for a long time. Stage dive once again, not getting too much, but they're moving in. Sound barrier is perfect. Couldn't be any better at this moment. Alex Straza firing from above. ST is down. They go for the core. Genji has fallen. That's a massive problem for CE. BTG has lost Vala though, but the Punisher is already on the core. And they're going in with A on Alex Straza in the Dragon form. Karasim is down. It's down to 30. They're doing it. BTG wins on Infernal Shrines and takes down CE. Their first map win in the tournament.
BTG, BTG. That's how I feel right now. My goodness, I am so happy.
Look how happy they are. They are hyped.
Oh,
it's written all over their faces. These guys are ecstatic, and for good reason. The last game was perfectly played.
So well done here. Another composition busted out from CE, and almost exactly what we had seen from them over on Infernal Shrines earlier into the group stage.
CE's faces, they're like, did Jet just happen?
Yeah, they're just kind of... it is one of those moments where if you are CE, how much do you let that kind of affect you mentally, right?
Yeah.
It's one of those, I can see it being the beginning of the end type situation to where you go, ooh, how did we end up having that?
Are we dreaming?
Is it the dream? No, I don't think so. I'm not willing to... Okay, they won the game. My dreams have been fulfilled. Hopefully, you know, they're pretty satisfied with their own play. But I can't help but feel like that's where it stops. One was about all she wrote. When
you were talking on the last one about you the entire time, no matter how good it looked, you were wondering, okay, where's the mistake?
Yeah.
I was the same. The entire time I was like, can they really win it? I've seen them in such good spots. When they played against SPT on Sky Temple, they had it. And I was just looking at it. I was just like, boys, this time, you're gonna get the victory. And then they lost again. And it seemed to be like that theme that just continued over. It repeated itself every single time. And I was looking for the moment too, and then they're like, nah, we got this. And they time it perfectly. They go back, take the Punisher, but before that, they go through the wall. They really open everything up, and they have all their cooldowns ready. And I mean, once we see the MVP, it's
got to be Alex. I feel like there's no way it's not. I
feel Sonya?
I don't actually think Alex single-handedly carried that game. Sonya got the damage output in certain situations proper, but Alex was the reason those team fights were ugly. Specifically, the last team fight, I feel like, was not even close based on the value off his heroic.
Okay, I can understand Alex. I still want Sonya. those spears and the way she...
Everybody gives the MVP to the damage dealers all the time. Give it to the supports.
You always give it to the support.
Because
there has to be a little bit of
somebody's got to shout out for the supports. I'm the guy
do that
fighting
enough.
I'm fighting for the poor man here, okay?
Yeah, the poor support players that just got a nerf for the first time.
5% nerf across the board. What are we supposed to do? What do you mean? If anything, this makes us feel better because now we don't have, you know, everybody randomly playing secondary support. Truly, the solo support gets to be the man to shine on the support role. Nobody trying to be cool and copy us. Everybody made fun of us for so long, and now we have 2 on every roster.
You do realize which composition just won.
The Alex Straws, a solo support?
The double support.
Or it was double support, huh? They
the
had
solo
Lucio.
support.
They had Lucio.
Yeah, you're already dreaming. You're like,
no,
yeah.
Alex, come on.
So, yeah.
Map 3 summary.
Okay.
It's hard. It's hard.
I mean, both would deserve it. I'm not going to be unhappy if it's Alex.
Yeah, I
Not
know.
at
I agree. The Sonya impact there.
Oh, yeah. Oh,
feels bad, man.
Feels good. Feels good.
ZJZ. I mean, he had some flashy plays, and to be honest, if they didn't have Sonya constantly picking up the Shrine as well, I mean, let's be real here, that game is completely different. It was because she has so much independent Shrine control in itself that BTG was able to get away with that strategy and play it in that manner, even the split push on top in the 5 versus 4.
I think one of the reasons why Sonya got the MVP over Alex is that Alex died 2 times in those 4-man fights.
Yeah, and I mean, obviously we used the
Not blaming her at all for those deaths, by the way. I mean, she was a priority target, and it was difficult for her to get out of these situations. That was exactly when Sonya was busy getting the shrines or getting a fort, but I feel that's one of the factors that heavily played into this.